Well, it was a historic session, I think, by any measure. We really helped focus on two things: letting Minnesotans afford their lives and trying to make sure we were tackling some of the challenges that had been neglected with the gridlock that we'd faced for many years.
If you ask House Majority Leader Jamie Long, the 2023 legislative session was a huge success.
Was it a good feeling to finally be able to pass some of those bills that had been, I guess, blocked by the Senate for so many years?
It was incredible. We had passed priorities that some had been waiting 15, 20 years.
The DFL grabbed hold of a trifecta last November, leading to one of the most jam-packed legislative sessions in recent memory. Great perhaps for Long and his party, but across the aisle, the sentiment was a bit different.
But there was a lot that was done, some good and some very concerning.
House Minority Leader Lisa Damith and the rest of the House Republicans felt left behind by the full speed ahead approach Minnesota Democrats took.
And you guys knew that you were going to be the minority party this year. Did that tender your expectations? Did that change the way you guys approached things?
We weren't necessarily given proper amount of time in all committees to ask questions. It felt like it was just kind of pushed to the side a little bit. You know, they were going to do what they were going to do. We offered amendments, they weren't really accepted. And so I think our voice was minimally heard and definitely not taken into consideration.
Long and the DFL disagree.
Do you feel that the House DFL heard what the GOP was saying and took it into consideration enough?
I absolutely do. I think that there's a lot of focus oftentimes on the more contentious issues, the ones where there's bigger divisions, but we passed dozens of bills that were unanimous. We passed dozens more that had GOP support, even if we didn't have the full support of the caucus.
One of those bills was an 11th hour holdout. For months, Senate Republicans blocked a $2.6 billion bonding package, but with just 2 days to go until the end of the session, that bill went through with bipartisan support. While the House didn't seem to have the negotiating bloc that the Senate did, both Damith and Long wanted to see smoother negotiations.
Are you happy with that deal and how it ended up?
I'm very happy with that deal and how it ended up. The only thing I would have liked is to have had nursing home funding earlier, and it should have been more.
I was really glad we were able to reach an agreement. It's better that we're able to fund some of these long-term infrastructure projects with bonding. That's a good way to pay for them over time, rather than doing it one time. But I'll say I was a little disappointed that we weren't able to do that earlier in session.
A few weeks removed from the session, both parties recognize its historic value, albeit in different ways. Damith is critical of the legislation the DFL put forth.
I really think that the legacy of full Democratic control in the state of Minnesota will have a number of negative consequences for years to come.
And Long proud of the work they accomplished in a short 5-month span.
What do you think people who are looking back on the 2023 legislative session will see as the legacy?
Well, I do think that this session is going to be one for the history books. I think this is one that folks are going to hopefully look back on with a lot of pride.
Reporting in St. Paul, I'm Quinn Gorham.